Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another TF2 live commentary here. Today I'm going to be playing just some advanced MVM bootcamp here on this magnificent Rottenburg MVM map, which is one of my favorite MVM maps, to be honest, because it kind of serves all classes very well. It's very balanced, just enough long distance sections for snipers to be dangerous. And then you can also really have some close quarters action, mostly like this bridge right here. For example, this pyro is still very effective, which, giant pyros are typically more of a threat up close. And the fact that they have kind of a section to the map to make them relevant is really cool as well. So I just kind of really like the balancing of this map. And yeah. But today I'm going to be playing as the direct hit, and I kind of chose this class because it is one of the better, if not the best, damage class in man versus machine, in my personal opinion. Not to say that that's like empirically correct or anything, but I would say that Engineer has some of the highest damage, Demo Man, and then Soldier is right up there with him. And so I wanted to also maximize my actual damage output, which ideally would not be would be to not use a shotgun, as I was kind of having to switch to there, but mostly because the direct hit allows for, I believe it's what, 25% increased damage, and you definitely want to be able to take on single targets in man versus machine, because the tanks actually, that's kind of like a necessary component to taking out tanks. And area damage is very valuable, but if you can't quickly take out uber medics and really get those super heavies down quick, then it's a lot harder to win the later rounds of MVM. And so I'm kind of going for an in between. Actually, I feel like I can make this a little bit more efficient there, so we use up more credits. So the direct hit, in my opinion, is so good on Soldier, but the one downside that I always will complain about is that the view model for this thing is so freaking massive, which it's totally fine. I mean, like, I have a keybind to actually get rid of my view model right there, and our medic is just being a champ there. He's blocking so much damage from that super heavy. Alrighty, that was a pretty awesome wave. We're just going to ready up again so that we can get that timer counting down and decrease the amount of downtime. So the gaming newsfeed has been a little interesting recently, with Valve announcing, I believe it's called Half-Life Alyx, which is their new sort of sequel Half-Life game to Half-Life 2, but it is on their VR platform. And last I had heard from the internet, the rumor was that Valve was kind of handling a lot of their game development for Half-Life now in like VR, and like I feel like that's kind of the platform that they're going to try to push next, because Steam, if Steam can become the marketplace of VR games in the same way that it is on PC, I think that's an opportunity for Valve to bring in a massive amount of additional revenue. But it looks amazing, which is why I bring it up, because now we are at the point in VR technology, which is super impressive, is that you have the ability to manipulate your fingers in VR. So, oh man, I gotta not get sniped by that guy. So now, as a part of the actual game itself, you might search for something like a key card on a shelf that you need to get to like pass into the next part of the level. And so like the minute details are really becoming flushed out in VR now, which is absolutely fantastic. I will say the one aspect of VR that I think is really holding it back as a viable like mass marketed platform is the cost barrier at this point. I think that it is just crazy expensive to really kind of get a VR setup going from scratch, because you need to not only have a pretty powerful gaming PC, which is going to cost you, minimum $600, but you also need to buy the actual headset itself, and just not everybody has that kind of discretionary income laying around. There are just more important things to spend your money on, in my opinion, and at least at this part of my life. Man, I'm getting trapped by this giant soldier here. I need to get out. And luckily I didn't take any fall damage there. I think there's a health pack here, though. Yes, that I can take. And so I think it's more important to stop these little guys. And I think the kill feed is actually glitching out a little bit right here now. Hopefully... Oh, come on, babe. Oh, he was so low. And he got... Okay, well, medic's here to save the day, dude. This medic is MVP. Greatest medic NA that I've ever seen in MVM. Always there with the reses. What a bro. So anyway, if you guys look up any sort of like preview videos for Half-Life Alyx, it is awesome. Like the graphics themselves are pretty awesome, and it's just that I'm so happy that that platform has made significant advancements since, like, you know, even just 2 years ago. VR is becoming really cool really fast. And I think the reason why I kind of talk about all of this is because I think that there is a likely future in which humanity actually seeks out VR for more than just games and leisurely entertainment. I think that it is entirely possible, to quote Joe Rogan. Oh my goodness, that is a heavy. And all these guys are getting teleported in, so we really need to take out this teleporter. I think I might actually suicide in for that. Oh my god! Okay, well, that sentry just annihilated all of my plans to take out that teleporter. I think this round might actually be lost. This is actually becoming more and more grim. So anyway, to stick to this VR thing, so here's the thought, right? And I don't think I'm crazy for saying this. Imagine let's say 3 to 4 studies come out from legitimate sources where they've gone and measured 100 people. 100 people in very high stress jobs. Let's say they are executives for some Fortune 500 company. And they say, okay, we're going to measure you and we're going to have you every day at, let's say, 8 p.m. before you sleep. You're going to be subjected to an hour of VR experience. And what that experience is going to look like is, let's say, 60 minutes spent at a spa, right? Just a spa generated in virtual reality with it would be very highly developed, and so it would be as believable as possible. And they say, okay, we're going to measure your cortisol levels. We're going to measure the stress factors that appear in your blood, or whatever that methodology might be. And what if the results are then, okay, we found that with a 95% certainty, we can say that if somebody in a high stress environment engages in an hour of virtual reality therapy per day or per week, whatever it may be, that their productivity is boosted 10%, their cortisol levels drop 20%. I'm just making up numbers, but point being is that this virtual reality therapy, so to speak, boosts performance in some way. So you say, okay, well, I don't know if that's the case now, but it could be in the next 15 years as the cost to develop this technology drops and the quality of the technology increases. And so I think that what that all means is that we could find ourselves in a in a society that's actually reliant on virtual reality to attend to a variety of emotional needs, a variety of different needs and desires that people might have that they're not meeting on a normal day-to-day basis. And so you say, okay, what if you create a VR game which is not really a game, but more, oh, this is so risky. This is so risky. Okay, I got one, but I got all the credits. Still got an F rating this round. That's tough. Shoot, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, okay. So you say, okay, we want to make a program that is geared towards meditation and really enhancing the speed at which people can successfully meditate and sort of mentally heal themselves. So, okay, you create an app with a black environment. You know, let's just say there's like a circle in the middle that like expands and contracts based on your heart rate, because meditation is a lot about paying attention to your breathing. And they find that, okay, well, people who engage in this experience, they have greater satisfaction. They have all of these positive benefits, especially with regards to meditation and all these other things. And so I just think that it is possible that people might retract into this sort of virtual reality environment because it is so much more entertaining, so much more there's a lot more positivity and interest and engagement that can be offered in that environment than in real life, which is a little scary, right? It's not the best thing. I increasingly think that people overall are really moving away from that primal instinct that allowed us to survive in the wild for thousands of years before modern civilization developed. I think that we are increasingly becoming a creature reliant on technology, and our capacity for information, for processing information, and for remembering new information is increasingly becoming spectacular. I mean, we're really entirely different beings, in my opinion, than the semi monkey form creature that we evolved as years and years ago. And so VR is one of the sort of markers, I think. Okay, we really gotta focus on the tank. Oh, and our medic just gets pooped on by the spy, which one sort of way to dodge that is to first of all, always be looking behind. That's rule number one when it comes to Team Fortress 2. This game has really instilled into me the instinct to look behind, which in general, I mean, in life is really like a good thing to always kind of be doing. To always be aware of your surroundings is something that I really learned as a kid and was really instilled into me. And this game really magnifies that need to always just kind of be aware of what is going on around you. Because if you don't land, or if you don't notice that spy sneaking up behind you, there are disastrous consequences. And so it's a very heavy penalty. Okay, so I think we need to still focus on the tank here. And I think that is actually probably GG. Because we cannot summon enough damage to take out this freaking tank. Okay, wow, this wave is turning out to be more difficult than we originally anticipated. But that is okay, because I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. And so I'm just going to keep playing. And so, where did all this stem from? Well, it stemmed from this new VR game, Half-Life Alyx. And I just want to not only like tell you guys that you should definitely check it out, because I think it's one of the it's going to be for VR as revolutionary as Half-Life 2 was when it was released some time ago. Over a decade at this point. That is bizarre to look back on. And we're just going to join a new game here. All right, so we're back after a quick intermission there. Just had to switch servers because people do sometimes abandon the match after several failed attempts. I will say it is kind of the time to leave if you have an obligation, so I shouldn't complain that much or anything. But this is one of my favorite spots in Cold Town, man. Just to blast people up here, like I'm in zero danger at this point. And we gotta really focus that reflector heavy because he looks real scary. Man, I wish there was a game mode though that Valve could like introduce a game mode where you play as like a super guy, like a reflector heavy or something, and like you had like a player led MVM. That would be so much fun, and I think that would be. I think that would bring people back to the game too. I mean, not that this game has like issues staying popular because it just doesn't die. TF2, that is one thing I've learned. Like, I used to have doubt that TF2 would eventually die off after like a few years of Overwatch being out, but really the fact that this game has stayed free casual and fun to play means that people have kind of stuck around, and that's really encouraging. And I think that's just that's great that there's still enough interest in one of the classics, man. Like, we really, oh, I gotta get the Super Scout, man. Uh-oh. Okay, I gotta fire that rocket. Oh my gosh! Oh, I got him, but the spy got me. Anyway, what else is in gaming news? I attended the Minnesota Rocker hosted the new. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, no, we gotta fire one more in there. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? It was 2 days ago. We attended the new Call of Duty launch event hosted by the Minnesota Rocker at the Armory in Minneapolis. That was super cool. And I was definitely glad to have gone. The energy around esports is really incredible. I've been very impressed with the capacity for esports to become as popular as it has been. And there's just a lot of passion around games that was waiting to be capitalized on. And so I think that those events are super fun, super interesting. And I actually am waiting for like a League of Legends event or like an Overwatch event to come to Minneapolis. I think that would be absolutely so much fun, just an absolute blast, because it's one thing when you're playing a game and you're watching a game and you kind of understand what's going on. Because I had a couple of buddies that went with to the launch event and they weren't super into Call of Duty, whereas like those others of us were into Call of Duty, and it's a different sort of thing when you can actually like grasp what's going on, and sort of strategize and really understand like the techniques that are being deployed and the strategy that's going into effect. But I think that esports is really cool just to also study, you know, like who has the best aim, you know, like it really sets the bar in terms of what people can aspire to be, how much they can improve their aim and their actual like skill in the battlefield. So anyway, that was a very cool event, and I'm definitely excited to have gone to that. The Armory is a great place in Minneapolis. If you guys are from Minneapolis at all, or just visiting, I would definitely check out any like musical artists that are showing up at the Armory, because they do attract the best of the best, in my opinion. And so that place is really cool as well. What else is in the news? The general from Iran was assassinated, General Soleimani. That was somehow controversial in the news, which I think is an interesting. I think that's particularly interesting because I feel like our news cycle nowadays really does kind of put things into a dichotomy of you either want to believe this thing or this thing, and there's really no room for middle ground, because somehow the killing of somebody who had been known to have been plotting against American soldiers, American interests, and like our against our allies' interests as well, by basically forming using terrorist methodology. I think that it's a great thing that the United States stepped up to the plate to take him out of business. And what I found interesting, because I did, granted, my only real education on the topic is watching a Joe Rogan podcast with Mike Baker. If you guys don't know who Mike Baker is, he served some lengthy time in the CIA doing counterintelligence and counterinsurgency efforts. And so he really kind of has the inside scoop as to how the various political factions kind of operate on a high level. And so I thought that was really interesting. So I would definitely recommend you guys search up Joe Rogan, Mike Baker. I think it was released in like January of 2020. Very interesting episode. But I learned a lot from that episode. Like, even I don't know if he is necessarily a source of truth, but if any of what he said is accurate, even 50%, then it was definitely a good thing that this guy was taken out. And I fully support any operations that really have American interests at heart. But anyway, I don't want to talk about like politics and stuff, but just to kind of give you guys a context of like what's happening in the news as of the recording of this video, it's a little scary because there was like, even though it was kind of in like a joking format and in kind of like a meme format, people were talking about World War III and like how that could be potentially a possibility from that sort of standpoint, how that could escalate to global war. And I don't think that that's really a possibility, to be honest. I feel like the United States has so much precision military technology that we could actually, or rather I say our government could eradicate all of the critical military infrastructure in Iran if they wanted to, basically overnight, right? Like it would be done in a day. And so, oh, I gotta save my engineer. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. If I could hit this pyro, my gosh. I wish I could like apologize to him over the mic. That was so bad. I gotta actually save the bomb here though, so I'll make up to him by actually saving the progress of the bomb here, as I'm the only kind of watchdog over it. We did get an A+ credit rating again, dang, so I can head on back for some more spending and some new gear. All right, we are back here. So I don't know if I made the correct decision, but I just buried even more cash into the damage ability of the direct hit and less on the resistance side. And there's going to be a lot of crit supers in this particular round, which is what makes me a little bit nervous. But it looks like, to me, the best defense is a good offense, and that so far is proving to be pretty effective. As the giant charge soldier was taken out pretty quickly there. And our cash supply has been extremely solid, so shout out to Jokey here for just having an absolute dedication to collecting all of our cash. One thing I wanted to mention too, if you guys are interested, just feel free to add me on Steam. Right now, I'm accepting all friend requests. I can't say if this will hold for the future, for a month after the making of this video, but as of now, if you send me a request, I'll definitely accept it, because I definitely want to just kind of hang out with you guys and play with you in Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch and all those other great games, because I think it is super fun to just get kind of like a 6-man together and really just wreck the competition. Being able to pub stomp so effectively is just like super fun. So yeah, if you guys want to get together, play some games, just add me on Steam. Also, my Discord channel will be in the description as well. And so if you want to sort of hang out that way, every once in a while I am in Discord. So feel free to just send me a message on Steam or whatever, and I will most likely get back to you. So this round has looked to be a lot easier than expected. We still have an A+ credit rating, which is fantastic. The credit rating is one of those things where I'm not, like, credits are kind of the key to the late game. They're not in the earlier rounds. It's good to sort of pass the wave if you can, but if you're really averaging below a B credit rating, especially in the advanced and the expert game modes, then it's kind of becoming less likely that you'll be able to pass the later waves, because if you can't actually keep up the cast stream to support better DPS output or better resistances, then there is just no way that you can survive those rounds, especially in the super hard expert rounds that are like designed to be especially difficult. Oh man, what was the Halloween map that they released? I think it was actually a reskin of Coal Town, because it was like a few years ago, Valve released a Halloween event for MVM, and that wave I remember taking like hours and hours and hours to complete. Like, it was so difficult that the team that I was with at the time, it was still brand new, and so everybody was dedicated enough to actually like be in the game and not leave randomly. So we would actually keep throwing ourselves at wave 6 like over and over and over again. No, actually, I take it back. It was wave 5. It was wave 5 because what kept us basically from passing the wave was it would spawn like 20 spies at one time, which, even though you could see all of the spies spawn in, if they swarmed you all at once, they could still land backstabs. And so it was so hard to actually stay alive when you're hit with basically like a tank, a couple supers, and like 20 spies all at once. And so we had been working at this for like hours and with no success. And so we had like enough dedication where we actually went back to wave 1 and worked our way back up to wave 5 with a new team composition. And that was it was just incredibly hard to pass that wave 6, like so much so that we had to reset. And I remember being like when we finally beat wave 5, it wasn't even like the wave, and I would say especially the wave 6 sort of post game screen, that was so rewarding. I remember feeling so relieved after seeing that screen. It was like I could sit back in my chair and like relax for a little bit, because I get how like people, I don't know, people think it's funny how like gamers get really into the game and everything, but when there is when you have, let's say, 2 to 3 hours of time invested into a certain outcome and you don't actually achieve that outcome, it is very, disappointing. And so like I can see why people get so intense and so stressed when they play these games, because it's just like that engaging, and that's what I love about it. All right, so we are on wave 6 here. This is the last and final wave of this advanced mode. I think that we should be fine. Our engineer has tons of damage. Let's see how I'm comparing. So I have 13k damage. So I'm coming in at kind of the bottom of the scoreboard, which I was actually a little bit disappointed by. The engineer has tons of damage, though, so good for him. I find that between 1 and 2 engineers is actually best for an optimal team in man versus machine, just because like sentries deal so much damage. Like look at that, 51,000 damage, 36,000 on the sniper, which is pretty crazy. And I guess it does depend on how much money you bury into like crit canteens too. I really don't like to bury a lot of money into canteens, even though at kind of like the expert level, it's a lot more necessary, because you just need that optimal damage output. Oh my god. He teleported so fast. That was awesome. Okay, so we're just going to focus on this giant crit heavy. And we are going to just kind of keep hammering. I don't know what he's firing at. Those 2 rockets went a little stray there. He's kind of has the aim of a stormtrooper, if I'm going to be entirely accurate here, but yeah, this is just why I love the direct hit, man. Like there is enough AoE damage where you can damage like the main target that you're aiming at, plus a couple of guys around you. But when it comes to taking out things like tanks, like you still have that single target higher damage than you could have with just like the regular rocket launcher. So yeah, definitely a big fan of Soldier and MVM. And we got a nice crit boost from the medic here, and I'm gonna fire, I think, 4 shots. There we go. And so we're gonna get hopefully a few more. Wow, this crit is lasting forever. That is awesome. We already got it pretty much quarter of the way down, so I think we'll be fine. I think I'm going to focus on the giant soldier, actually, because if you can kill the things that will kill your teammates first, oh yeah, we are totally fine on this wave. Easy peasy, boys. Teammates doing a great job over here. Yeah, that NG is racking up tons of damage. And I am kind of in competition for like middle of the scoreboard at this point. I figured that I would be like at least up there a little more, but 22. So I guess I'm like 2nd or 3rd. I didn't really look super closely. Just gonna keep reloading. And I was expecting that they would hit us with like, oh wow, this is wave 7. I was expecting that they would have hit us with like a bunch of supers at once, being I think this is the last wave, and I would have thought that they would have. Oh my god, I just love the sticky jumping demo. He must be going to get more ammo, that's what I would guess. Although why he didn't go to the dispenser, I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point. And we'll take out the snipers there. I think there are some snipers that will occasionally spawn back here. So maybe I'll just kind of rocket jump up here and keep an eye on that back placement. Nope, and the snipers are gone, so there's no issues. Wow, this game, it's an easy game when you got good teammates. And so, oh, okay. Take on the super soldier. So yeah, if you guys are interested in playing some TF2, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. I do make TF2 content, you know, every once in a while. Keep it flowing, keep the content flowing. But a lot of my focus right now is still on Overwatch, other games such as League of Legends, CS:GO, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty. Those are also games that I tend to play a lot. So if you're interested in any of that sort of gaming content, then hit that subscribe button and check out my channel. Just check out some of those playlists. I have them organized by game down there. And so you'll have an easy way finding your way around the channel. But we're about to wrap up here. I believe this is the last super that we have to deal with. There is a sentry buster here, which I don't think actually it's a weird, yeah, so we got one more super. The sentry busters don't actually count in the loading bar, so to speak. So like basically as the wave gets further and further and more bots start spawning, that loading bar goes down, but I don't think that sentry busters are part of that loading bar because they count as like a support class. Like when you have that supporting snipers spawn, for example, like that doesn't count as a part of the wave technically. But basically, all of that is to say that this is the last actual challenge to the remainder of this wave, and we will wrap it up there with 45,000 damage there, wrapping it up. Oh, I'm sorry. Total damage dealt is 27,000. And that is Control-Alt-Destruction on Cold Town. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to leave a rating on the video if you did enjoy it, and I will see you all in the next video.